And the next plant that we have here is Eastern Hemlock. Scientific name is Tsuga canadensis. So Eastern Hemlock's an interesting tree. The early settlers would use the bark strips and they would use it for tannin. And tannin was used for leather making. And then this tree is facing something right now that is not good. There is a pest called the woolly adilgid, and that pest certainly negatively affects this tree. What happens is the pest, the woolly adilgid, it attacks the phloem of the branch, and then that branch will die back. And then a couple of years, 2-3 years of this continued effect will eventually kill the tree. And unfortunately, the woolly adilgid is not rare right now. So the eastern hemlock is facing a big problem. In order to treat the tree, you either have to spray it or treat the soil of the trunk, and it's pretty expensive. It's an intensive treatment, and so there is a big issue. The woolly adilgid is an invasive species, and so that is a big concern right now because these trees are typically up in the North Georgia mountains, in Appalachia, and they control a lot of water erosion issues. So they're on the sides of mountains. And when these things go away, you know, it's hard to hold down the soil on the side of the mountains and hills up in North Georgia. Interesting enough, this is an alternate evergreen species, so you can't really tell. I'm probably gonna put up a picture, but these little leaves are actually broadleaves. They look like needles, and they're not actually needles. And one thing that's really indicative about this plant is if you look up underneath, and I'm not sure how well you can see, but there's two little white lines underneath the individual leaf. So all of these things are individual leaves because they in fact do have a petiole. But those little white lines up underneath each individual leaf are actually the stomata. And stomatas are what is used for gas exchange in plants. So you hear about plants using CO2 and producing oxygen. Well, that's occurring on those little white lines right there. So a very, very interesting plant and leaf structure. You've got little cones that can exist on these. They're 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch long. And I've actually I've heard of many people referring to them as cute little cones. And so if it helps you identify a cute little cone, but I think that the white lines and the needles, that's pretty much a dead giveaway for the eastern hemlock, Tsuga canadensis. This tree will grow to 100 feet tall or so. So it is a big, big tree, but largely there's not much lumber, you know, that's being used commercially for this tree. And so it's an important species for wildlife habitat. Deer in particular will use it to get out of the winter weather each winter. So an important species for a lot of different reasons, but not necessarily commercially anymore. So